Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now then, what we're going to look... Oh, still got my brush in my hair. That's because I've been racing around, getting ready. I've got classes this morning. Monday's always a busy day. So I'm still getting ready. Oh, got my second coffee. So I haven't got very long this morning, but we're going to look at this interview, which is very interesting. Erin Patterson's interview with police. It's voiced by actors. It was on a YouTube channel that I'm going to give them the credit in a moment. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. She just lies, just trip off this woman's tongue. It's lie after lie after lie. And you know what? They're effortless. Doesn't bat an eyelid when she tells a lie. There's nothing, you would never know that it was a lie. Anyway, that's what we're going to look at. I want to say, of course, there's so much information now coming out about Erin now that she's been found guilty. The floodgates have been released, you know, no people aren't worried about what they say, things that come out. You know, it's just all go now as far as as Erin is concerned. Sorry, I'm still not 100% ready, really. So yeah, I want to just first of all just say thank you. Lots of people have sent me emails with links to various things about Erin. I am ploughing my way through them. Thank you. I really appreciate every bit of information people send me. But, you know, it does take quite a bit of going through, and then, you know, I can't present all of it. So, and then this particular thing I just found, and I thought I wanted to do this. So as I say, I've not got very long because I've got classes, but I may be back later on with some more information. You know, she's fascinating, Erin. She is fascinating because it's rare that somebody comes along like Erin. You know, such an evil person, really, really evil person. And of course, the people that suffered for it were the opposite types of people, weren't they? The nice, just ordinary people, church-going, helpful, neighbourly people. These were the ones that suffered. Don, Gail, Heather and Ian. Because Erin felt slighted. It's like they weren't bowing down to her enough, wasn't it? It's like, she's the most important person. How dare they take Simon's side against her? How dare they? How very dare they? And here's Erin with all her pathetic little faces. Oh, I love them. I love them. She didn't love them. She doesn't love anyone except herself. She couldn't even get their names right, could she? And this is what a horrible person Erin is. I still think she looks like Colonel Ragwort. Evil, evil. That's, you can see it all go. That picture to me just tells us all we need to know about Erin. Anyway, so that's what we're going to look at. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing, of course. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. It's completely free. Like and subscribe. And then special thank you, as always, to my members, why not think about becoming a member to help support my channel? And every Thursday we have an exclusive members live, which if you can't actually make the live, you can watch afterwards, and join in this best community. What else? Oh, and thank you to people who buy me coffees, send super chats. Any way you support my channel with the emails, with nice messages, etc. Thank you so much. We have a very special community, don't we? Okay, so yeah, that's it. I think ready to go. Oh, hello to you lovely lurkers. Hello to loathsome lurkers. Hello to replay crew. Thank you so much for watching. And now let's have a look who's in the chat and say good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Hi Bluebell. Hi Lily. Hi my angel. Yeah, I heard something about a pencil sharpening a blade in a banana. I think I thought I was, do you know, last night was a terrible night's sleep. I just could not sleep. It was just so hot. I kept waking up, but putting on podcasts, not to even listen to the podcast, just anyone with a soothing voice, just to try and fall asleep. I must have woken up every couple of hours. It was a bad sleep. So I wasn't sure if I dreamt about the raised blade in the banana. You know, when you wake up and I'm thinking, what was that about a razor blade? But I haven't had time to research it. Oh, and then yes, hi Julie. Yes, we had an earthquake here in Spain, 5.5. Some are even saying 5.6 magnitude in Almeria, which isn't that far from where I am. But I didn't feel anything. It was around about 7:10, I think, in the morning, Julie. You're quite far from there, so I don't expect you heard anything. But yeah, we had a big earthquake here in Spain, but I don't think anybody's been hurt. Almeria's quite, what's the word? I mean, there are houses and things like that, but it's what you would call agricultural. You know, there's big parts of Almeria. It's coast. There's coast there. There's beaches, and there's a lot of agricultural areas. Almeria is it's a bit like the desert, really. It's a funny old place. Yeah. So maybe not. You know, maybe the epicenter wasn't round houses or whatever. Maybe it was in the campo. But yeah, I saw it on the news, but I personally did not hear it, feel anything. Though people were saying that they had felt things round about my area and other areas. But personally, I mean, I was awake. I think I got up at about 7. I overslept because I didn't sleep all night. You know, or just off and on sleep. Normally I'm up at 6, but I go up at 7, I think it was, or just before 7. Didn't feel a thing. I didn't feel a thing. Was probably too busy rushing around trying to get ready, as always. Always so many things to do in the morning. Anyway, have a little swig of coffee. That's a big earthquake, though, isn't it? 5.5. You know, normally we do get quite a lot of tremors actually, but they're normally around 2.2, 3. 5.5 is a big earthquake. But anyway, okay, so let's have a look at this interview. I've only got about an hour because, as I say, I've got classes. Oh. So, sorry, I've got this. Turn that down. Hey, KDB. So, Erin Patterson's police interview in full. Now, this has been put together by the Australians, so must give them credit. I am subscribed. Let me like the video. And this is, they've taken the transcript of the interview. Nobody, the interview itself hasn't been released, will have been shown to the jury, of course. They've taken the transcript and they've voiced over it with actors. So that's what we're going to listen to. Oh, I'll tell you, my Pinocchio button will be overused during this. So I'm going to put some pictures as we're watching. I'm going to put some pictures up. We'll start with this one, I think. So yeah, let's have a listen.
He'd never foraged for mushrooms and didn't own a dehydrator, even after police had seized CCTV. Fruit is genuine royalty. Princess of Norway Ingrid Alexandra. Arts grads don't apply. Let's take on that story right now at theaustralian.com.au.
Okay.
Erin Patterson told police she'd never foraged for mushrooms and didn't own a dehydrator, even after police had seized CCTV showing Patterson dumping a dehydrator at a tip. Today, we're bringing you Erin Patterson's police interview, recreated by voice actors after it was played at the Supreme Court trial where she's pleaded not guilty to murder.
My name's Luke Farrell, Detective Sergeant. The reason we're here today is to execute a search warrant.
Sure.
And it's in connection with the death of 2 people over the last couple of days.
Who died?
That's the opening moment of...
Who died? Who died, she said. Oh, gosh, because she didn't know anything, did she? Erin didn't know anything. Who died? God, this awful woman, isn't she? Awful, awful. Don't get much more of... Well, I was talking about Myra Hindley yesterday. Erin's, on a par, really, isn't she?
A day that's become very important in the trial of Erin Patterson, the Victorian mother of 2 who's accused of murdering 3 elderly relatives and attempting to murder a 4th. She has pleaded not guilty. At 11:40 a.m. on August 5, 2023, 4 police officers showed up at Patterson's home on the outskirts of Leongatha, a small community in Victoria's Gippsland. Homicide detective Luke Farrell took the lead, and after that exchange on the doorstep, the officers spent 4 hours combing through the house. On Tuesday, prosecutor Jane Warren took Detective Sergeant Farrell through photos taken on the day.
And on the bench there, what do we see?
That is a cookbook. Recipe Teen Eats. Dinner cookbook.
Did you open the book and look inside the book at the time of locating this?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did you locate a recipe of relevance to your inquiries?
Yes, it wasn't a bookmark page, but on a separate page there was a beef Wellington recipe, yes. And that page was spattered with cooking liquids.
The cops went through the house seizing electronic devices and other items. And then they took Erin Patterson to Wonthaggi police station to answer some questions.
Now, I just want to say about that cookbook, I want to go through that in some of it. That poor woman who wrote that Tin Eats cookbook, she's getting absolutely plagued, with reporters, etc., trying to get comments from her. She just wrote a cookbook with a recipe for beef Wellington, and because of this woman, who she's like gone down in history, but it's not a good way to go down in history, is it? Apparently sales of mushrooms have been affected by this case. I mean, have the sales of this poor woman's cookbook, maybe more people will buy it to have a look at it. You don't know, sometimes it can work in a different way. But she has been upset, the author of the cookbook. She had Tin Eats cookbook, it's called, isn't it? I can't recall her name, unfortunately, but I will be doing a video on that. Is it Nagar or something like that now? Anyway, she's really sort of distressed about the attention her cookbook is getting. The negative attention. It's just crackers, isn't it? But anyway, let's carry on this.
Today, we're going to voice act for you that interview, which was recorded on video and played to the jury on Tuesday. The interviewing officer was Detective Leading Senior Constable Stephen Eppingstall of Victoria Police's Homicide Squad. He's the lead investigator in this matter. Eppingstall told the court one of his first actions in the case, on August 4, 5 days after the lunch, was to ask a tactical intelligence officer, Detective Senior Constable Meg Crawford, to begin looking through Erin Patterson's records, including bank details. Crawford found a transaction from 2 days earlier, August 2, made by Erin Patterson at the Coonawarra Transfer Station, the local tip. Police obtained CCTV of Patterson at the tip and visited to recover the item she'd deposited, a black Sunbeam food dehydrator. After searching Patterson's home, Eppingstall was ready to ask his questions.
This is a DVD recorded interview between Detective Leading Senior Constable Stephen Eppingstall and Erin Patterson of Leongatha, conducted at the Wonthaggi Police Station on Saturday, the 5th of August 2023. The other person present is my corroborator.
Detective Senior Constable David Martin.
Erin, do you agree the time is now 4:41 by my watch?
Yep.
Could you please state your full name and address for me?
Erin Trudy Patterson, Leongatha.
Now, as we discussed earlier, and we've been together for a few hours now, it was after 11:30 that we came to your house today. We want to discuss the deaths of Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson today with you. When we were at the house earlier, we discussed that you hadn't really been kept in the loop, and it had come as news to you that Heather and Gail had both passed away. Following eating at your house, Donald, Ian, Gail and Heather all became so ill that they ultimately ended up in the intensive care unit at both Dandenong Hospital and then moved to Austin Hospital. Following that, they've had a deterioration in their condition, that they've become so ill that their livers have failed. All right? Donald underwent a transplant last night, okay? And his condition is still extremely critical. As I advised before, Heather and Gail have passed away. In relation to Ian, I don't have a current prognosis in relation to where he's at. We're trying to understand what has made them so ill. Do you understand why we're asking these?
Not. Oh my God, I can't believe this has happened. I feel terrible because I've just been to lunch at my house. None of that. None of, oh God, I hope Ian is okay. Oh, I can't believe this has happened. I need to get down the hospital. The kids need to get down the hospital. Just, Horrible woman.
Questions?
Yeah.
On the other hand, conversely, we're trying to understand why you're not that ill. Do you understand why we're interviewing you today?
Yeah, I do. But I'm sure you understand too that I've never been in a situation like this before. And I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because
I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week. Honestly, she's effortless with her lies, this woman.
to help that side of things as much as possible because I do want to know what happened.
Yeah.
So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from.
At the house, and I must say, for the record again, you were very helpful at the house, and you did point out a couple of things for us that will help us with our investigation. Mainly, the fruit platter that you said Heather bought for you, and the gravy in the fridge, or the pantry that you said was from the night and you kept on advice from the health department. So thank you for that. You also pointed out a recipe book on the counter and you referred me to page 250 odd, the recipe for beef Wellington, and you indicated that was the recipe you'd cooked. We didn't see a lot of food from Asian grocers or Indian grocers or those kinds of stores.
Did you look in my fridge? I've got a lot of Asian cooking stuff in my fridge.
Are we likely to find more of that kind of stuff at the Mount Waverley address? Do you think, or?
No, because I did a big clean out of the pantry which is the last time that I was there because I'm going to sell that place.
Obviously, we've got concerns in relation to the mushrooms and where they've come from. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for mushrooms or anything like that?
Never.
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 Do you preserve foods or anything like that?
No.
Have you ever dehydrated food or anything?
No.
There you go, lie after lie. She's never foraged, she's never dehydrated mushrooms. In a moment, she's going to tell him she's not got a dehydrator. And not only that, because they found what they didn't find the dehydrator because that had been dumped, of course. But what they did find was a instruction book for a dehydrator. So she tells more lies then when they mention that to her. Unbelievable.
Coming up, more of Erin Patterson's police interview. That's after the break.
Oh, not a break.
You've described the relationship with your ex-partner, Simon. I'd like to understand why you had his parents and his uncle and aunt over for lunch.
Because I've no other family, and they've always been really good to me. And I want to maintain those relationships with them in spite of what's happened with Simon. I love them a lot. They've always been really good to me, and they always said to me that they would support me with love and emotional support.
Oh my God. So these people, honestly, this is what literally makes my blood boil, as you know, because I've said it many, many times. These people did nothing but support Erin. They supported her. They helped her in everything. And this is what she did to them. She's a foul person. A really foul, worse. You know, if they'd been horrible to her, I mean, it's still wrong, obviously. I'm not saying it's right to poison anyone, no matter if they've done what they've done. But, you know, these were nice people, helpful, kind, loving towards Erin. And she did it to them, and she sat there and watched them eat. Honestly, I'm sort of speechless about the depth of depravity of this woman.
Even though Simon and I were separated. And I really appreciated that. Because my parents are both gone, my grandparents are all gone. They're the only family that I've got, and they're the only grandparents that my children have.
Yeah,
and I want them to stay in my kids' life.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me.
Yeah.
I think Simon hated that I still had a relationship with his parents, but I loved them. Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me, will change the fact that they are good, decent people that have never done anything wrong by me, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've been told that on the 31st of July, so 2 days after the lunch, you went to the Leongatha Hospital. I think you were only there for about 5 minutes and then you left. Can you explain why you went there for 5 minutes?
Yeah, because I just went there thinking I needed a couple of bags of saline because I was really dehydrated. And they said they want to admit me and send me to Melbourne. And when you've got animals at home and children who have multiple after-school activities, you can't just be told to drop everything and you're off to Melbourne for the night. So I had to go home and feed the animals and pack my daughter's ballet bag. And I did that.
Oh, my God. So did you hear what she said? Oh, yeah, they wanted me to go to Melbourne. You know, 2 people are in comas, you know, probably dying. And she's like, well, you can't just drop everything when you've got children and animals. I wanted to go home and pack my daughter's ballet bag. You know, it's like I'm gobsmacked because at the end of the day, if somebody had told you how ill those other people were, you're supposedly have eaten exactly the same thing that they have, and your children, actually, because you fed your children the leftovers, apparently, that you're going to care about your daughter's ballet bag, or that you couldn't get somebody to sort your animals out for you, or pick your kids up from school and bring them straight to the hospital. You know, it's no wonder the police were suspicious, because anybody normal, when they're told that 4 people that have been to lunch with them because of something they cooked were in, intensive care and on death's door, and that might happen to them, any normal person would have just, whether you liked hospitals or you didn't like hospitals, whether you had children at home, whether you had animals to sort out, you would get them sorted in a different way. I'm sure the police would have helped with that anyway. Anybody would have helped with that, but she had Simon to turn to as well. In fact, she asked Simon to drive her to the hospital. She was probably going to give him some on the way there. Probably, do you want a sweetie, Simon? Just imagine it. Simon refused, didn't he, to take to the hospital? He's probably terrified of being in her company. Do you imagine it? Be like, would you like a sweet? I've got a coffee for you from the shop or from the thing, laced with death cap mushrooms. Simon would be terrified of being in her company by now, I would imagine. Gosh.
And I went back.
Who did you speak to?
So I walked in and there was I don't think they were a nurse. It was I don't know, it could have been an enrolled nurse, or it was to help a person in the triage room, right? And she says are you okay? And I said, well, no, I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea.
What?
And she wasn't quite sure where it was. And so she went and found out and showed me where it is. And then she said, I'll go and find someone. I'll get a nurse or a doctor for you. And so I went to the toilet. I came back out. I was waiting in the triage area, and then a doctor came out, Dr. Webster, and he said to me, sorry, we're going to be a little while because we've got a couple of critical patients in the hospital.
So that Dr. Webster, isn't he the one that's in trouble now for saying that he thought she was a mad psychopath as soon as he met her? But anyway, he was right. His instincts were right. So, remember Erin saying that she didn't have any family and that her kids didn't have any family. She has got a sister. This is Erin's sister many years ago, of course. It was 1996, I think, this picture. So she does have a sister. But she never, she doesn't include her when she's talking about family or whatever. And I still would like to know what happens to the rest of Erin's family. Honestly, is there anything more to any of their deaths? This, of course, is Ian. Ian had to sit through that trial and listen to all that crap. I hope he's okay now, because, of course, Ian lost his wife, Heather, and her sister, Gail, who was married to Don. They're Simon's parents. Hope he's okay. I really do hope Ian is okay and coping with this, because it's bad enough what he's gone through, and now for her to be found guilty of doing it deliberately when they sat there and prayed for her because she said she had cancer. I mean, there's just so much trauma for Ian to have to digest, if you pardon the expression, isn't there? And all that Erin's cares about is her. She doesn't give a toss about any of those victims, not whether they were her victims or not. She just didn't care. We could see that she couldn't care less when she was interviewed, because she couldn't even get their names right. Now, when you can't get someone's names right, family members that have died and you can't get their names right. Gosh, that's when this really is Erin, isn't it? That picture, to me, that's just Erin. Horrible, nasty, vicious person.
And I said, that's fine. Don't worry about me. I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously. And he said, oh, what's your name? And I said, Erin. And he said, oh, we've been expecting you because other people that you ate with on Saturday are sick. And he said, can you come through? And I said, sure. And then he said to me, I can't remember the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, we've got a concern that they've eaten death cap mushrooms. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's what we think.
What? Because she couldn't believe it. She thought she'd been so clever. Do you know, I'm going to do a video with all the fallacies about Erin. One, that she's a good mum. She's not. Two, that she's intelligent. No, she's not. There's lots of fallacies about Erin. It's her own self-propagating. So, she thinks she's clever. And other people think she's clever because she manipulates them into thinking she's clever. She actually isn't clever. You know, she's clever, like I think somebody said earlier in the chat, I think it's Alana, in a manipulative way, in a cunning way. But she's not really clever. She's overcome by her own self-importance. So there's a lot of fallacies about Erin. You know, and the other thing is she wasn't a cook. You know, people, you know, she gets called the mushroom cook, and it's as if, you know, she loved cooking. She didn't. She didn't love cooking. She hardly ever had anyone to dinner. She hardly ever had anyone to dinner. It was very rare. And that's why I think it's so telling that she also, that she made this intricate dish. You know, beef Wellington, you know, if you've got people coming over for dinner and you want to do something easy, you do a curry or a spaghetti bolognese. But she did the beef Wellington because she wanted to make it these separate plates. So she planned this a long time, hadn't she? Planned it a long time, what to cook. And I think the beef Wellington is relevant because at another interview, she said that we heard this, she said that, I think it was in her testimony, she said that beef Wellington was a special meal they would have when she was a child. Honestly, well, I would want to know exactly what her mum died of and her dad, because she said she related beef Wellington with special meals at home when she was a child. So there's some sort of a connection there between beef Wellington. Why beef Wellington? I mean, it is a, you know, it's not the most, as I say, when you're out expecting a lot of guests for dinner, even if you want to do a special lunch, you try and make something a bit easier, don't you? Because you know you've got people, and also you want to chat to your guests. You know, you want it to be something you can perhaps get ready before, maybe just plate up on the day. And of course, she had to be careful how she plated it up. You want to talk to your guests, don't you? So there's something significant about that beef Wellington. I mean, of course, the mushrooms had to go in a mushroom, something that they could be powdered into that contained mushrooms. So maybe that's why. But of course, there's lots of dishes that have mushrooms in, you know, mushroom curry, something like that. I don't know, or maybe I have no idea why she chose beef Wellington, but she'll know. But it could be because it's significant from her childhood. Erin is a very complex, dark person. You know, there's a lot of darkness in her mind for whatever reason. You know, maybe she was just born that way. You know, some people are just wired wrong, aren't they? And, you know, just, I think there was definite jealousy between her and her sister. Her sister seems to have done everything right, and Erin didn't stick to anything, did she? You know, she lost her job as an air traffic controller. She got the DUI thing, or she was, you know, she was arrested when she was young for drinking and driving, running away from the scene of a crime, crashing her car into a tree. She seemed to try a lot of things, but didn't succeed in anything. Though she wasn't as clever as people think she was, or that she thought she was. So, yeah, there's a few and as far as being a cook is concerned, she made this intricate dish, you know, a beef Wellington, which I certainly wouldn't try and make if I had guests coming round. But then she made mashed potato. Was it? I wouldn't be surprised if it was packet mashed potato, packet gravy, and veg, wasn't it, or whatever. You know, it wasn't exactly a gourmet meal, was it? You know, it was only the beef Wellington that was something special, if you like. So from what I can gather from things I've read, she wasn't particularly good at cooking, or, you know, it was just something she did that day. She was aiming for Simon, I think right up to the last minute she was probably hoping that Simon would go.
They've eaten, and then started asking me about what food I served them, and I told him.
All right. I understand you went down to the hospital and got treatment and that. What kind of treatment did you get?
Oh, they hooked me up to a drip, They said that they were concerned. So Dr. Webster had to leave. I think he was at the end of his shift, and he passed on to another doctor. And she said to me, because the concern is that everybody's eaten something that hurts your liver, we need to give you this protective medicine. And so there was saline or something or other. But she said, we need to get you this and then put you in an ambulance up to Melbourne where they can give you more, where they can get you better. So I got saline and other stuff.
How long were you at the hospital for?
Till Tuesday.
And again, full disclosure so you understand. We've obtained warrants to medical records for everyone involved in this. So we'll get medical records in relation to your treatment there as well.
Sure.
You were at home in person when we did a search warrant today, right? And like I said, we'll give you a little copy of this. Everything we've seized. Kitchen, far left bottom drawer. Instruction manual for a Sunbeam Food Lab electronic dehydrator. What's that in relation to? You know anything about a dehydrator in your house?
No.
Do you own a dehydrator?
No.
Oh,
I've got manuals of lots of stuff like that. Over the years, I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all.
okay. When did you own a dehydrator?
Let's hear that again. Effortless lies. Just going to go back a bit, play that again because I was distracted.
Instruction manual for a Sunbeam Food Lab electronic dehydrator.
More.
So
Where
she had an instruction manual for a dehydrator, but she said, no, I haven't got a dehydrator.
they can get you better. So I got saline and other stuff.
How long were you at the hospital for?
Till Tuesday.
And again, full disclosure so you understand. We've obtained warrants to medical records for everyone involved in this. So we'll get medical records in relation to your treatment there as well.
Sure.
You were at home in person when we did a search warrant today, right? And like I said, we'll give you a little copy of this. Everything we've seized. Kitchen, far left bottom drawer. Instruction manual for a Sunbeam Food Lab electronic dehydrator. What's that in relation to? You know anything about a dehydrator in your house?
No.
Do you own a dehydrator?
No,
No.
no.
I've got manuals of lots of stuff like that. Over the years, I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all.
Okay. When did you own a dehydrator?
About 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay. What did you use that for?
Like when I first got the Thermomix, I got really excited about making everything from scratch, and I did get a lot of, like everything from scratch, ingredients, and I did a lot of that. So we'll have something like that.
So 9 years ago, she said she had that dehydrator. I mean, this is what I mean about her intelligence. She's not intelligent. She thinks she's intelligent. The best thing she could, if she was really intelligent, or maybe she just thinks that everyone else is stupid and that's why she thinks she can get away with it. Because if she had any intelligence whatsoever, she would have a better story ready than that. She would have said, yes, I did have a dehydrator, but I threw it away because I was panicking because my husband said, did you poison your relatives with that? Did you poison my relatives with that? So I panicked and I dumped it. You tell the truth. I swear that if Erin would have told the truth, I think the jury would have found it difficult to prosecute her, to find her guilty. When I say tell the truth, I mean just said, oh my God, I must have mixed up my forage mushrooms with the store-bought. She would have said that if she had any intelligence at all, that would have been the story she would have run with. And she would have had the most chance of being acquitted that way. But she didn't. She chose the lies. It's the lies that did her. I've been listening to, all sorts of podcasts from people who were there in the courtroom, and the jurors' faces and sighs when she came out with these lies, lies that were obvious lies, like about not having the dehydrator, like that about she didn't want to say she was going to have gastric bypass surgery, so she said she had cancer instead. Then it turned out that the place that she said she was going to have it, they don't do gastric bypass surgery. You know, people say that were in the courtroom saying that the jury visually, you know, they audibly sighed, you know, when they heard these lies being exposed. I think that jury would probably have set out wanting to find her innocent, you know, because it's not nice to think that anybody from their own community, because remember, she chose to have it in Morwell, you know, and the more I think about that, the more I'm convinced she thought she could get one over on these Morwell people like she did over Heather, Don, Gail and Ian. She could manipulate them easily. And she couldn't, because honest people, although they do tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, also they do know lies when they hear them, especially when they're repeated. They probably wanted to believe Erin, and then the more lies that came out, they just couldn't anymore. But she did it to herself, so she's not clever. She's not clever at all.
Okay, kitchen bench located against the wall. Recipe Tin Eats book.
That's that recipe book.
That's the same book the Wellington recipe comes out of.
Mm.
While I think of it, one other thing that I should mention again, to your credit, police went around the house on that morning, on the 31st, and they were obviously responding to the hospital call to check up on you. And they spoke to you on the phone, and you gave them the PIN code for your gate and directed them to the bin where there were some leftovers. What were those leftovers that you directed them to?
Uneaten food from the lunch.
Yeah. Anywhere that Erin Patterson directs you to, as far as evidence is concerned, there's going to be nothing there, is there? Because she directed them to it because she knew you know, there was no death cap mushrooms on those leftovers. You know, so she, again, thinks she's clever, but actually she's not. And it's interesting what you say there, Excel, because, yeah, that probably is why she sacked her original lawyer. He probably told her, you know, this, just admit that you foraged the mushrooms and they probably got in there by mistake. That's you know, that would have been her best defense. If she wanted to be, but no, she thought she could, you know, spend 3 days in the witness box. I would love to know who decided she was going in the witness box. I think it was probably her, because I think she thought she could manipulate that jury. Very unusual for a defense lawyer to bring the perpetrator or alleged perpetrator to the dock, because it gives the prosecution the opportunity to cross-examine them. And of course that backfired so much on Erin, because Nanette Rogers, she cross-examined her. She was brilliant with her cross-examination.
So you helped them getting that, so it would be sampled.
Because my kids ate them too. So there was stuff that was left over and it went straight in the bin. And so when I went to the hospital and they said they were concerned that everyone ate some contaminated food, I said, well, there's the leftovers in the bin. You can have it. Feel free to look through it. And I said, I'll go and get it if you want. And they said, that's fine. You need to go on a drip. We'll call the police.
Yeah, so she's more obsessed with directing them towards these leftovers. Oh, you can have them, as if she's got any control over it. You can have them. Oh, that's kind of you, Erin, letting the police have the leftovers, the staged leftovers that you've put in the bin, especially for them to find. That's so kind of you. God, she is so sanctimonious, so up herself, so full of herself. You know, and she really thought she's more intelligent than everybody, cleverer than the police, cleverer than just, oh God, it's such a good feeling knowing she's been found guilty, because people like this should not profit from their evilness. You know, what Erin was she just trying to have the children to herself? Was she just trying to teach Simon a lesson? Was she just trying to teach those poor people a lesson because they weren't sticking up for her enough? You know, she's one of those people. There was no financial motive, and there might have been a bit of a financial motive, but at the end of the day, you know, Erin is comfortable. So it wasn't like that she needed money. Just unbelievable. There's a few thank God moments as well. There's thank God Ian survived. You know, not only thank God just because a life was saved, but thank God because it meant he could testify. Thank God she never got to train to be a nurse or a midwife that she was planning on doing. And and I do feel for her kids. It's a shame to find out your mother's a murderer, a triple murderer. But those kids have had a lucky escape, because I don't know what would have happened to those kids further down the line when Erin got fed up with them or felt they weren't paying her enough due respect. Erin's got no compunction about killing people that she says she loved, that did nothing but help her. So I don't feel that compunction would stop with her own kids when they got older and when they got leery and, started rebelling against her. I wouldn't trust her around children, especially teenagers.
I said, well, that's fine. Just let them know I need to give them a PIN code. So they did that, and a bag of food appeared a bit later.
Yep. So again, thank you for helping us locate that. All right, Erin. Do you agree the time is now 5:30 p.m. by my watch? All right, I'm going to suspend the interview now.
So
The video stopped and...
So there you go. Now, we can, that was just, so it's just a reinforcement of what we know already, isn't it? About Erin being a terrible liar. Just says the first thing that comes into her head. The way she was trying to direct the police to, it's like, we should have a new Cluedo game, shouldn't we? Do you know Cluedo, the game? Be sort of on the patio with the death cap mushrooms. For anybody who doesn't know about Cluedo, it's a game I used to love when I was a kid. You've got like this mansion, haven't you? And there's all these different rooms and these different characters, like Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlet and Reverend Green. And then you've got all these different murder weapons, the candlestick, the rope, the dagger or whatever. And it's funny, isn't it? Because when I was a kid and we used to play it all the time, I know it is like a murder mystery game, but I never really thought of it like that. It was just a game that we played and it was fun. And you had to work out who killed who, with what murder weapon, in which room in this mansion. And you'd do it with dice and you'd be able to take cards, ask questions and things. Anyway, it's a brilliant game. I still think it's a good game. Yeah, they need to add to that, the Australian version, and an extra room would be the terrace, because that's where they sat to have lunch, wasn't it? So it'd be on the terrace with the death cap mushrooms. That'd be a new murder weapon in the Cluedo game. So I'm not trying to be facetious because 3 people died. I know that, but just if you didn't have a sense of humour when it came to true crime, then you just sometimes you've got to have a sense of humour just to lighten the mood. But anyway, it'd take a lot to lighten Erin's mood now, won't it? When now she's in prison and we're as I say, there's so many different things coming out now. One of the videos I want to do is like this aftermath of this case. You've got the poor woman that wrote the Tin Eats cookbook and what she's going through. You've got now the questioning whether on the iNaturalist site, whether they're allowed to report where there's death cap mushrooms or not. But the thing is, there'll be people out there, if they don't know, not everybody will be going looking for death cap mushrooms to kill somebody with. There'll be people that need to know that there's death cap mushrooms at different sites to avoid them. So she's causing all, and then apparently there's trips where people go foraging, and they're in question now, whether people should go on these trips for foraging. which, as I say, for me, I don't understand the attraction of foraging. Just go to Tesco's or go to your local supermarket and get whatever stuff you need or white forage. But some people like doing it. And of course, it got more popular during COVID, didn't it? I suppose it was something that people could do outside. I mean, to me, those mushrooms, you know, if they've not been grown on a farm or whatever, they're just crawling with insects. And, you know, apart from the fact they might be poisonous, crawling with insects, probably been peed on by God knows how many wild animals. Just not my cup of tea. But having said that, it's a lot of people's cup of tea. So why should she spoil the fun for everybody? People who like doing that. You know, most people who go foraging for mushrooms are not looking for mushrooms to kill their families with. You know, that's just... So according to Erin, this was a big hobby of hers, wasn't it? That was the latest thing she came up with at the trial. Oh, yes, I've always been interested in foraging, whereas originally she said she wasn't. Then she said she was, although she'd never discussed it with any friend. You know, she hadn't joined any foraging groups on Facebook. She liked her Facebook, didn't she? But the only group she joined were true crime groups where she could just discuss other people that had committed murder or that she thought had committed murder. Yes, then suddenly she was this big forager, you know, and something she'd always been interested in, and how much she loved mushrooms because they're so nutritious. In fact, did you know, according to Erin Patterson, mushrooms are so nutritious, she was powdering them up and putting them in her children's chocolate brownies. You know, like you do. Because, you know, we all do that, don't we, when we're trying to make our children eat more veg, powder them up and put them in their chocolate brownies. It just seems, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? So I'm just trying to put my like and subscribe up. Just, gosh, this will have big reverberations, this case, but there'll be a musical, there'll be a Netflix documentary. There's already documentaries being made. I don't know if there'll ever be an interview with Erin. There'll be an interview with her, maybe with her sister. I expect there's a lot of newspapers, TV stations and that offering to pay quite a lot of money to Erin's sister to try and get some exclusive interviews. Whether Erin's sister will ever do that or whether Simon will or Ian. I mean, there's a long way to go yet. So we've not even had the sentencing yet. That's the next thing, isn't it? The sentencing hearing, that'll be followed by the sentencing. And then we'll see what happens after that. But gosh, I mean, it really is, you know, every now and again, sort of cases come up. Alana, Excel's comments will be on here. On the, you can see the comments up on screen because they may be watching from. Hi, Dottie. They may be watching from the Spanish one. I'm not sure why you can't see his comments. I think other people's can, though. I don't know, Alana, if you're in. But you should be able to see. Look. Excel's made quite a few comments, so I'm not sure why you can't see them. Anyway, sometimes it seems to happen every now and again. Thank you, Dottie. Thank you, Dottie. Yeah, because I'm about to finish now because I've got to go and teach them Spanish in the classroom. Not with the death cap mushrooms. God, just like, goodness me, this case is definitely going to go down. It's definitely going to go down in history, isn't it? It's a very bizarre case because of the murder weapon. It's always bizarre why anyone would want to kill 4 of their relatives, but, you know, especially such nice people. Do you know, if they were absolute, horrible people, I still, obviously you still shouldn't do it, but maybe to understand, if they'd been so horrible to Erin or caused her a lot of pain or maybe even physically attacked her or done something really bad to her. But 4 people who and 2 especially, Gail and Don, her children's grandparents. Children's supposed to be a good mother. She's not a good mother. It's a fallacy that about Erin. She's not a good mother. She's not a good cook. She's not intelligent. She's not any of those things. But yeah, poor Don, just a good grandfather. And him and Gail just looking out for Erin all the time, sympathising with her. Gail was it, when Erin told Gail that she had a lump on her arm and she was going for an MRI because it might be cancer. And Gail said to her, well, let me know how it goes. Well, Erin never even got in touch with her to let her know how it went. And when Gail contacted her, she just said, oh, yeah, it's fine. Just like attention seeker, total attention seeker. Awful woman. Okay, so may see you later, if not tomorrow, definitely. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And Scudder the Nutter. Scudder the Nutter. No, they called her that for a reason. Do you know what I mean? There's not, they're not just called her that to be nasty. Though I think she did report people for bullying, didn't she? But I think Erin's more likely to be the bully, isn't she, really? She's that sort of person. But maybe she was bullied. I don't know. That's a shame if she was. But I just don't believe it. I don't believe a word that comes out of her mouth. And I'm going to work on a special new Pinocchio that is Erin's face with the nose coming out of it. Okay, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Hi, Maria. Just to finish off, I am going to put up the details about my books, etc. So I know some of you won't want to watch that. You'll have seen them before. But for those of you who want to know about my books on learning Spanish or my biography, I suppose, autobiography about how I ended up in Spain and why I'm interested in true crime, I'm just going to play those videos for you now. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye. Hola, soy Vicky. And are you wanting to learn Spanish? Have you been trying to learn Spanish and it's just you can't put the words together? Common thing that people say to me is, I know a lot of words, but I just can't put a sentence together. So I'm here to tell you how you can learn Spanish through English. Learn how to make sentences, not phrase book Spanish. Learn how to ask questions, answer questions. Right from beginner or whatever level you are, if you're struggling in putting it all together, there'll be a level I can offer you a solution. So I've been teaching Spanish for over 20 years to English-speaking people. And these are the books that I have written. Break the Language Barrier Level 1 for beginners. Level 2 for intermediate or sort of pre-intermediate. Level 3 intermediate. Level 4 upper intermediate. And level 5 for advanced. There's really level 5 is to practice what you've already learned. So if you've already learned a lot of Spanish, but you want some practice with translations, conversation practice, games, etc., level 5 is for you. If you know more than level 1, in other words, you know how to already speak in the present tense. If your grammar has gone past the present tense, but you're struggling with the past tenses, level 2 is the book for you. All these books are available on Amazon. Any Amazon, wherever you are in the world that you want to learn Spanish, you can order one of my books from Amazon. Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Did you ever want to know a little bit more about me and my background, how I came to become interested in true crime, how I ended up in Spain being a Spanish teacher? If you want to know a little bit about me, a little bit more about me as a person, you can find my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, on any Amazon site, wherever you live in the world. And I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and this is my story. So it's the story of how I grew up in Manchester in the UK on a council estate, and very humble beginnings, and my journey through personal tragedies, disastrous romances, and triumphs to become a single mum, a Spanish teacher, and an interpreter living in Spain, and eventually a YouTuber reporting on true crime. So it details my various experiences with people and places over 20 years of teaching, over 20 years now. Ooh, where did that go? Of teaching Spanish and interpreting through the backdrop of the recession, financial uncertainty, severe flooding, and living through COVID. I hope you will find it funny, sad, amazing, silly, serious, and stranger than fiction at times. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to make you angry at least once. I hope to make you cry at least twice, and I hope to make you laugh many, many times. So thank you for all your support on my YouTube channel, and if you want to know a little bit more about me as a person, then you can find out there. So thank you.